live in interesting times. Today's stories. Wildfires continue to burn through Australia. The aftermath of flooding in Indonesia. A miracle of modern medicine. Preserving a dying language. A beauty contest for elephants. Turning factories into farms. Helping the hungry put food on the table. Guerrero continues to wow audiences. And in sports, in hockey, the Vancouver CANUCKS extend their winning streak. Basketball's Toronto Raptors drop a game to the Boston Celtics. And a basketball league started by boxer Manny Pacquiao. I'm Thomas I. Likeness with Eagle News, broadcasting from our studio in Edmonton, Canada, bringing you stories from around the globe. We hear a lot about the wildfires in Australia. The scale of this months-long bushfire crisis is unprecedented. Since late September, the fires have claimed at least 20 lives. Dozens more are missing. The flames have scorched or destroyed more than 1,300 homes. More than 100,000 people have been ordered out of their homes, and that occurred across 3 states in Australia. Now, this inferno has eaten through an area double the size of Hawaii. Let's look beyond the numbers and put a human face on this crisis. David Sims lives in Lake Conjola, a small coastal community in New South Wales. Sims' description of the fires that hit the community on New Year's Eve sounds like a war zone.
We heard the helicopters go across. They were dropping buckets in the lake. We then saw 3 or 4 small fires go to medium fires on the far side of the lake. And literally within 10 minutes of the first chopper dropping their buckets, embers started to come across the lake, started to burn the ground foliage, and there were spot fires everywhere.
As the flames got closer, Sims says everyone in the community pitched in.
I don't know if it's the beauty of a small coastal town, but yeah, everyone just banded together. You know, people that you didn't know, you know, were just coming in and helping you. I was dragging a hose and it was quite heavy. Some fella just pops out of a house and just grabbed it. And we were working together for a couple of 3 hours and didn't even ask each other's names. It was just, there was a job there to be done, so we did it.
Sims says battling the blazes is taking a toll on the firefighters.
At the end of the day, they were just exhausted. Like physically exhausted. You know, they've come from Bateman's Bay, other towns. We can only see a small snapshot of what happened here. You know, but people aren't fresh. They've come from other bushfires. You know, so they were just quite literally lifting up their BA masks, necking water, and then putting their BA back on, and then just helping out.
Now, Sims was one of the lucky ones. He did not lose his house. The cleanup is underway in Indonesia following those torrential rains last week. Flash floods and landslides killed at least 43 people in the Jakarta region. Now, the new threat is disease outbreaks. Residents forced out of their homes by flooding remain in emergency shelters. Food and water is running low. About 11,000 health workers and soldiers are distributing medicine, disinfectant hygiene kits, and food. They're trying to prevent an outbreak of hepatitis A. Other disease threats include dengue fever and infections from contact with dead animals. Infrastructure problems in Jakarta made things worse this year. The region has poor drainage and rampant overdevelopment. Medical science and a bone marrow transplant from his brother have helped a 7-year-old boy rebuild his immune system. The boy named Johan was born with a genetic disorder. His body could not fight off certain bacterial and fungal infections. But an experimental procedure done at the Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C., has given Johan a new lease on life. Immunologist Dr. Michael Keller headed up the team who treated Johan. Keller took cells from the bone marrow of Johan's brother Thomas, who did not have the disorder.
Where we can take T cells from a bone marrow transplant donor, pick out the ones that fight viruses, and then give them back to a bone marrow transplant recipient after transplant to boost up their immunity against several viruses.
Keller says the hope is Johan will have a normal lifespan.
Bone marrow transplant is, it's 50 years old in the U.S. It's still not entirely clear what will happen to the patients when they're older adults. We very much hope that it will be a lasting cure for all the children that we apply it to.
Now, there are no guarantees with experimental treatments, and Johan's mother, Maren Chamorro, says she understood the risks that they were taking for her son.
Those type of things are experimental. You also have to weigh the pluses and minuses, but again, as far as it goes with Dr. Keller, I have the utmost respect and trust for where he felt it was and what sort of benefit it could have for Johan.
Keller hopes this treatment will become more widely available, but there are hindrances. The chief obstacles are the complexity of the process and the costs, which can run into thousands of dollars. Do you know anyone who speaks Ladino? Now, it's the 500-year-old language of the Jewish people who settled in Istanbul in Turkey. Ladino is a unique mix of Castilian and Hebrew with sprinklings of Turkish, Arabic, and Greek. It emerged when the Jews were expelled from Spain in 1492. Many of them ended up in the Ottoman Empire, which became Turkey. And now, the fight is on to preserve the language which is teetering on the brink of extinction. Turkey now has the largest community of Jews in the Middle East, outside of Israel. That number's around 15,000. Ladino was passed down through the generations, peaking in popularity in the 19th century. But it increasingly fell out of use in favor of French among Jews in the later Ottoman period. Turkey's neutrality during the Second World War spared Ladino speakers the decimation of Jewish communities in other parts of the region. However, today the remaining practitioners are mostly advanced in age. Karen Sarhan has dedicated her life to saving Ladino. Sarhan says there's been a resurgence of interest in the language lately.
I feel it's our duty to leave as much material as possible to future generations so that if they're interested, if they want to know where they came from, what people were speaking about and how they spoke and what their sense of humor was or what their philosophy in life was, then they will have the material in their hands.
Sarhan knows that Ladino is losing out to more useful languages such as English and Spanish, and in hopes of reaching younger readers, she posts regular tutorials on social media. According to UNESCO, more than 100,000 people still speak Ladino around the world. They're mostly in Israel, where tens of thousands of Jews from the former Ottoman Empire have immigrated to in recent decades. And now I'm going to tell you about a beauty contest with a difference. In Nepal, the country holds an annual celebration for elephants. It's a 9-day event, and now let's meet the winner. With her toenails painted red and a lotus on her trunk, 35-year-old Bafkali took top honors. More than 25 pachyderms were entered in the event. But while the elephants were judged on how well they were decorated and groomed, officials also checked their heads and ears for signs of beatings. Many outsiders were also looking for signs of abuse at the celebration. Now, this event has been held in the Chitwan district, home to... Up next, vertical farming in Japan. helping the hungry in Vancouver. And moviegoers in Ottawa and Montreal take in the EBC production of Guerrero. This is Eagle News.
Ang Himig ng Lahi, tuwing linggo alas 8 ng gabi, dito lang sa Net 25.
ASEAN in Focus, Monday to Friday, 2 to 2:30 p.m.
You're watching Eagle News. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. What do you do when your country can't interest people in farming? Well, you grow food in a factory. In Japan, a vegetable factory near Kyoto is producing 30,000 heads of lettuce under artificial light with barely any human intervention. Now, what prompted this innovation? The average age of Japanese farmers is 67, and few people want to replace them. That's forced the country to become a pioneer in so-called vertical farming. One of the few companies to turn a quick profit is Spread. The company produces about 11 million heads of lettuce annually from this factory. The building is a vast sterile area where the vegetables are stacked on shelves several meters high. Machines move the heads of lettuce around the factory to areas where light, temperature, and humidity are ideal for that stage of growth. The process works without soil or pesticides. Only a dozen or so people work there, and that's just to collect the lettuce at the end of the process. Other countries have employed vertical farming techniques, notably Denmark and the United States. But Japan's population crisis means farmers are dying out, and many are questioning how the world's third largest economy will feed itself. Vancouver is a prosperous city, but for many, that prosperity has eluded them. Basics such as having enough food are hard to come by. Eagle News correspondent Arnie Aquino tells us about a church group that is trying to fill that need.
Here at the Greater Vancouver Food Bank, members of the Church of Christ are volunteering their time and effort for a good cause. Maurice Torrio, one of the volunteers here at the food bank, tells us why he chose to join in to volunteer his time at the food sorting.
Just to give back to the community, because there are many other people who are not fortunate who will be receiving these foods, and with these organizations like the food bank, they could really use a lot of help in organizing everything and getting these items to those who really need it in the community. For me today, was pretty much just sorting through the canned goods and other donated foods. We were pretty much checking if they're not expired and sorting them to different food categories.
The main organizer of this event, Megan Nicholas, tells us why they decided to volunteer here today.
I just checked online. I looked up different ways that we could give back to the community, and this is one of the first ones that came up. And I know that the church has done a lot of donations to the food bank in the past. We did a lot of food drives, and I thought this was just a good way to sort of do something a little bit smaller scale, but also giving back to the community.
Asked about the feedback they received for volunteering, this is what Megan had to say.
They're always welcoming new volunteers, and I think they were glad that it was a group of volunteers because there's a lot of donations that come in here. They were just telling us earlier that they get, millions and billions of things, and everything or everybody that works here are all volunteers, and without them they wouldn't be able to get the food out and the donations out to the people who need them. So they're always very welcoming, and as soon as I contacted them, they were very willing to accept us.
The Greater Vancouver Food Bank receives donations from individuals and organizations within the community to help those afflicted with food insecurity. From Vancouver, Arnie Aquino, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
A treat for movie fans in Ottawa and Montreal. Eagle News correspondent Sabir Mufti reviews a recent showing of the EBC Films production of Guerrero.
Guerrero, an Eagle News broadcasting film production, written and directed by Carlo J. Cuevas, simultaneously screens in both Ottawa and Montreal, Canada. Moviegoers in both locations are delighted to see this much-awaited film. The movie follows the story of Ramon Guerrero, a boxer who experiences triumphs and failures in life with sheer determination and help of his younger brother Miguel. The film garnered numerous awards and nominations globally, such as Best in Feature Comedy Film in Amsterdam International Film Festival, Best Editing in a Foreign Language Film at Madrid International Film Festival, and Best Foreign Feature in Los Angeles Film Festival Awards. Guerrero was nominated Best Editing of a Foreign Language Film at the 2018 Nice International Film Festival of World Cinema in France. Guerrero is also the first venture of EBC Films in the production of inspirational movies, a movie that inspires moviegoers with life's values and real-life lessons that is different from the norm and culture. EBC Films anticipate that it will make people laugh and cry, but most importantly, it wants to inspire Filipinos here and around the world to face life with greater vigor and fight for their faith with stronger zeal.
What's your favorite part about the movie?
The scenes between the brothers and how they really show how they care and love one another. I think it was very adorable. So I liked those scenes, especially the little kid who was very adorable.
What did you learn about the movie?
I learned that life will have a lot of failures, but I think what is important is that we must always continue on and strive to persevere in our lives. So I think that's what I took from the movie overall.
My favorite part was that where the little kid had to express his feelings to his brother at the end, and then he found out where he was.
What lesson did you learn?
That no matter what happens, whatever trials you face, never give up and keep trying, keep on going on.
How did you like the movie?
The movies were pretty good with a very inspiring message. Ups and downs are a part of life, and it's been always how you imagine the life, how you pretend to live it. As the movie is very inspiring, the message was losing is a temporary part of the life. If you keep moving forward, you will be in the winning corner as well.
With the success of this film, moviegoers worldwide are anticipating for the next Guerrero film. Reporting from Ottawa and Montreal, Canada, this is Sabir Mufti. I am one with 25.
Still to come, a full sports package. In hockey, the Vancouver Canucks come up winners. Basketball's Toronto Raptors, not so lucky. And a basketball league with a connection to boxer Manny Pacquiao. You're watching Eagle News.
Hi guys, this is Dan from ABC UAE Bureau, reminding you to watch Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. I am one with 25.
ASEAN in Focus, Monday to Friday, 2 to 2:30 p.m.
This is Eagle News. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. These days, it seems hockey's Vancouver Canucks just can't lose. Eagle News correspondent Anthony Sevilla updates us on the team's winning streak.
The Vancouver Canucks defeated the New York Rangers 2-1 to extend the Canucks' longest winning streak this season to 7 games.
The Vancouver Canucks' 50th season celebration continued as the organization hosted their 90s era night when they faced off against the New York Rangers at Rogers Arena. A special pre-game ceremony featured legendary Canucks players of the 90s. Among those honored were Arthur Griffiths, Jurke Lume, David Babich, Captain Kirk McLean, Greg Adams, Cliff Ronning, and Gino Ojic, all members of the Canucks team in the 1994 Stanley Cup Finals against the New York Rangers. Kelly Quinn, the daughter of the late Pat Quinn, the former Canucks head coach, attended in his honor. Kelly Quinn dropped the puck in the opening ceremonial face-off at center ice. The matchup between the Canucks and the Rangers would be the second and last meeting this season, as the Canucks edged the Rangers 2-1 and swept the season series. Vancouver extended their longest winning streak this season to 7 games and have outscored opponents 30-17 during the longest winning streak in the National Hockey League. Tyler Myers' point shot from the blue line went right through Rangers goaltender Alexander Georgiev for his 4th goal of the season and put Vancouver up 2-1 with a minute and a half left in regulation. Myers' late third period goal would be the game winner for Vancouver.
You could tell goalie had trouble seeing it, so fortunately went in. It was a big 2 points for us to keep this momentum going. And I think when you look at that goal, we had so much motion, before, it created a little bit of chaos, and it's good to get it.
Jacob Markstrom continued his stellar play in net for the Canucks on 90s night. Markstrom stopped 36 of the 37 shots he faced against the Rangers. Before the game, it was announced that the Canucks goaltender would represent Team Pacific in this year's NHL All-Star Game in St. Louis, making it his first career All-Star Game selection.
It's great. It's obviously a huge honor, but that's more, I feel like, reflecting our team and the way we play. It's it's everybody in this room who helped me. It's not just me. It's the whole team helped me get here, and so. But obviously, it's a huge honor. I've seen it on TV a lot of years, and it's going to be a fun experience to go there.
Despite leaving Vancouver empty-handed, New York Rangers head coach David Quinn left on a positive note about his team's effort against the Canucks.
I really loved our forecheck. I thought we got out of our end quickly. We didn't mess around with the puck in the neutral zone. I mean, we did almost everything right except score. And, really disappointing. Like you said, it really was a kick in the gut to have that shot go in and to play as well as we did in the third and give that up late. But hey, we've got to fight through some adversity here. I think we can certainly draw from this game to understand what we're going to have to do to have success, and we get home and get some rest and get ready for a big game on Tuesday night.
From Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Anthony Sevilla, Eagle News, always won with 25.
The Toronto Raptors are in a slump. More on that from Eagle News correspondent Sarita Sese.
On December 25th, the Toronto Raptors took on their division rivals, the Boston Celtics. They met on a day where the whole league watched to take notes on who might come out of the East.
The Raptors were coming off a tough overtime loss to the Indiana Pacers just days prior, whereas the Celtics were coming into the game with fresh legs. With key players still out due to injury, the Raptors' depth needed to shine once again to overcome the Celtics. The NBA champions started the game off strong by taking an early 10-point lead, but the gaps in their current roster slowly unveiled as the game went on. The Celtics took advantage of the lack of size for the Raptors as Marc Gasol continues to be sidelined, leaving Serge Ibaka and Chris Boucher to fill in for the big man. Gasol's presence down low was definitely missed as the Celtics dominated on the glass, out-rebounding the Raptors 55-39. In addition to the struggles in the post, the Raptors' offense continues to suffer with the likes of Pascal Siakam and Norman Powell out. The Raptors have been limited in their source of consistent offense, but the value of a player like Fred VanVleet continues to be evident. VanVleet led his team with 27 points on 52.3% shooting from the field, but VanVleet was not able to do it on his own. Canada's Chris Boucher did his best to get his team going as he matched his career high, 24 points on 7 for 10 shooting, but that too wasn't enough to overcome the determined Celtics team. With holes in the current lineup, opposing teams are able to capitalize on both ends of the court. Celtics' young core of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown took full advantage as they combined for a total of 41 points. When asked about the cause of the team's current slump, head coach of the Toronto Raptors, Nick Nurse, listed a couple of factors.
We're pretty short on our roster, right? We have played a lot of minutes, these guys, in a lot of games in a lot of days. The schedule hasn't been very good to us, right? It's our third game in 4 days. One was an overtime game. One was come from a 30-point behind game where we used a lot of energy too. So I don't know. Maybe it's just need a little rest. We're going to get some the rest of today and tomorrow, even the next day after that. Believe it or not, so our schedule slows down a little bit.
With the 118-102 loss against the Celtics, the Raptors fall further behind in the Eastern Conference standing. With the trade deadline looming, many around the league are wondering if Masai Ujiri and his staff will be making significant changes to this lineup in order to defend their title. From the Scotiabank Arena, I'm Zarita Sese, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Eagle News correspondent J.C. Umel has a story about a semi-professional basketball league. As we hear in his report, boxer Manny Pacquiao has a hand in this venture.
Basketball is a sport every Filipino love, no matter where they are.
Here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, a semi-professional league, Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League, known as the MPBL, will have its first stop for a series of regular season games between the Imus Bandera Lux Slim and Zamboanga Family Brand Sardines.
Also, there is a selection game between the Manny Pacquiao All-Star team versus the Calgary All-Star selection.
Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League was founded by boxer and Philippine Senator Manny Pacquiao a couple of years ago. It features regional, commercial, and barangay level leagues with teams on the commercial side to have a common locality in addition to a corporate sponsor.
This league is for players that will be given the chance, a second chance and opportunities, best opportunities to showcase their talents. Because all we know, we know that the Pro League has only limited teams in the PBA. We have only 14 teams. So our CEO founder envisioned this league to give more, again, chances, second chances for our young players. And the most important thing here is the talent of the undiscovered talents of our homegrown players, which we call the local heroes.
Siguro sa dami ng mga trials na pinagdaanan ng Maharlika Pilipinas League at ngayon ang na-achieve namin is napakaganda yung resulta, yung feedback ng tao na lagi nilang pinapanood yung Maharlika Pilipinas Basketball League. Talagang laging pasalamat natin at ang liga ng bawat Pilipino ay nakakapagbigay ng kasiyahan sa ating mga kababayan. Itong Maharlika Philippines Basketball League, ito ay para sa bawat Pilipino. Kasi marami mga galing na, alam na natin pagdating sa basketball, yung Pilipino talagang love nila yung basketball. So ito yung pagkakataon na maipakita yung galing. Kasi maraming mga Pilipino na mahilig talaga sa basketball, magagaling. Kaso nga lang, hindi na ipapakita, hindi na nakikita ng taong bayan. So itong Maharlika Pilipinas magbigay ng chance sa kanila para maipakita yung galing nila.
To all of our kababayans, mga Filipinos abroad or in the country, in the Philippines, please again support this league. Because we know this league is for our basketball fans, and not only for basketball fans. Because we believe also that again, sports can definitely change lives, uplift the spirits of our Filipinos, and again, motivate them every day.
From Calgary, Alberta, Canada, this is J.C. Umul for Eagle